Hello everybody, what we're going to be looking at in today's session is a level 2 reading exam. So I am using one directly from the NCFE website, so this is one of their previous papers. And what we're going to do is basically just accept that this is the right exam that we're looking at, and then just quickly read through all of the information we are given before we start doing our exam. So we need to check, we are doing a level 2 functional skills exam, and it is reading. As with all of these, they are 1 hour long, and we are to answer all of the questions, so every single one. Read each question carefully, type your responses in the spaces provided, and of course, all the work that you submit must be your own. The paper is out of 30 marks, and a pass rate for this one is somewhere in the region of 56% or 16 marks. You are allowed, and in fact you are encouraged, to use a dictionary. It must be an English dictionary, and you can use one with a thesaurus. You cannot use a bilingual dictionary during these exams. So let's get started. Now, we know this is a 1 hour exam. However, I'm hoping that we are going to whiz through this as quickly as possible. So I'm basically going to read out the question and then show you how I would answer it and give you my reasoning for each one as we go along. So, as you can see just here, we have the document that we are expected to read. And the first question says, which section being the keyword, refers to workplace values in document 1? This is worth 1 mark, so it should take us a maximum of maybe a minute, maybe 2. Now, if it wants to know which section something is, we are looking for a subtitle like this. Now, it said it's asking us where or which section will we find workplace values in. Now, if I'm just skimming and scanning over this text, if I look at these titles, the first one is Be on Time. The second is Dress Appropriately. Then we have Turn Off Tech, Consider Your Language, and Uphold Standards. Now, I would usually recommend reading through the entire text and making sure you understand where all the information is before answering the questions. Because I have seen this exam maybe once or twice before, I can tell you that the section where it asks about company values, see where I've highlighted it there, is in the section called Uphold Standards. And what we can do then, it's one of the best things about the reading exam, we can copy and paste the information directly into the box. You do not need to write in full sentences. You do not need to write in any great detail. And unless it asks you to, you are not going to need to analyse or synthesise the information any deeper than that. It just says, tell me the name of the section. We have found that section. Question 2. So this is where our dictionary usage comes into play. It says, what is the meaning of the word observing as used in that Uphold Standards section? Now, usually we would think our first and most obvious meaning of the word observing is to see or to watch. However, it says, what is the meaning of the word as used in this section? So we're going to read that section and look for the word observing. So let's open this section. It says, following company values such as respect, honesty, and accountability will help you to cooperate with others. Observing company values helps protect everyone's well-being. Okay, so it doesn't mean looking at company values, it means adhering to or obeying company rules. So in this case, you just think about another word. So another word in this case for observing, obeying. I would also accept anything like following company rules would work as well. So this is one of the reasons why it's so important to have a dictionary in the reading exam. Next question, give one example. So if it's asking for an example, it wants words from the text of how someone on a work placement could affect their colleagues in a negative way. So again, by this time we will have read the entire document. However, just through practice and having looked at this multiple times, I can tell you, if we look at this first bit, it says, ever been late for a meeting? Imagine all the anticipation surrounding your first day at work only to arrive late. It wouldn't make a great impression. Be punctual, finish on time, never leave early, commit to your allocated break times, or your colleagues could find themselves doing your work too. So, in that case, you need to commit to your allocated break times. And again, if you could right click and copy, that would be fine. Now, there are actually a couple of other examples in here. So, for example, the second section talks about wearing appropriate dress in the workplace. The third one, here we go. So it says that using a mobile phone could lead to accidents. So that would affect your colleagues negatively. Also, it mentions using appropriate language in the workplace, because if you're in an environment where people are complaining, it can be draining for others. So it's another example of how your behaviour could affect your colleagues in a negative way. Now, you can see we found 3 examples there. You are only expected to give one of them. The exam board really like to give you multiple options. Now, the next one, give a reason why they have used bullet points in the text. So let's find those bullet points. Here we go. Bullet points are usually there to separate items in a list. They draw your eyes to something. So it's like it gets your attention really easily and quickly. So in this case, you could say to separate, now what were they? It was advice and guidance. So why has the writer used bullet points in the text? To separate the advice given. That's it. Give 2 quotations. Now, the key word here being to, that implies employees are responsible for safety in the workplace. So again, we're looking for anything that talks about safety. So it mentioned in the workplace, not wearing the correct protective clothing could potentially injure you. So let's have a look. Quotations that imply that we are responsible. So some places you will need to wear PPE, which your employer will provide. It is your responsibility to look after it. So that implies it is your responsibility to make sure that clothing is in good condition. And then if we find another one, if we're talking about mobile phones, they can cause an unnecessary distraction. They draw our attention away from our work duties, which at worst could lead to accidents. So something that implies it is our responsibility. Here's the next one. It is best to keep phones turned off while attending to work. They are telling us to turn our phones off. It is our responsibility to turn our phones off and to concentrate at work. Okay, the writer uses language features. So it would like us to give just an example, not an explanation or anything further, just an example of the rule of 3 on a rhetorical question. So, let's find our rhetorical question first, because if you are looking for something like a rhetorical question, any kind of question will have a question mark. So it should hopefully jump out to us quite quickly. See this one? It says, ever been late for a meeting? This is a rhetorical question. So all we do is find the right box, paste it in. Rule of 3, so we're looking for 3 things on a list that are somewhat related. And it can be single items in a list, or it could be 3 things that are more than just a quick word. I'm just looking. Be punctual, finish on time, never leave early without permission. 3 sort of instructions in a list. That's it. Okay, so that is section 1 complete. Section 1 should take you in the region of about 15 minutes. Each section is worth similar number of marks, so we spend a similar amount of time on each one. So section 2, this is where we have a brand new document to read on a similar subject. There are 8 questions. And again, we should answer all of the questions. Give 2 words that best describe the writing style in document 2. Okay, this is an email. It is not addressed to me by name. They just call me employee. Not very personal, is it? It says, welcome to Quart, a family-run business since 1983. So this is clearly from, I would assume at this point, an employer. Therefore, if I'm wanting a word to describe the tone, I would consider any of these to be acceptable answers. Professional, formal, or businesslike. Again, it would take you more time to read through the document yourselves and to make that judgment, but just there are some clues that we can get right from the very beginning. The fact that it's not personal, dear employee, it's very impersonal. It mentions the name of the company, it's an email, so therefore professional, formal, or businesslike. You would only need to give two answers for this one. So it's a case of choosing which 2 you would like, and then click next. Now we want 1 fact and 1 opinion. So the easiest way to find facts are look for statistics. Anything to do with data or statistics or numbers, percentages, ratios, fractions, things like that. They tend to be there to reinforce a statement, to prove it is a fact. So if it just said, I think Quart are the best company, that would be an opinion. But because they have the numbers to reinforce that, it makes it a fact. As for an opinion, we're looking just now for thoughts and feelings. Now, let's have a quick look through. You have now joined our happy and dedicated team. That is very definitely an opinion, because I'm sure if we asked every member of staff that worked there, there's a potential that they wouldn't all agree. It is just the thoughts of the people who sent this email out. Give 2 reasons why an employee might use the Quart People Portal, so like an HR system. Now, I do believe it mentions the People Portal here, so you could use that to learn more about their recent success at the Motor Industry Awards. Why is it 2? Yeah, 2 reasons for this one. Why else would we use it? You could read the chief executive's latest blog. That's it. You find those keywords. It says we're looking for the Quart People Portal. Once you look, it's even underlined as well. It's meant to be representative of a link in an email, but it makes it more obvious to see. What organisational feature has been used to emphasise Quart's successes in customer care? So we've already used this quote. Motor Industry Award winners, quality in customer services, so customer care. 92% of customers reported a positive Quart experience. Now it's asked us what layout or what organisational features have been used. In this case, it is in a box. That's all there is to it. It doesn't want you to look at the language or the words. Layout or organisational features are only about where something is and why it looks different. So in this case, it's in a box. You could call it a text box, but that was, what's the other one they call it? I think sometimes they call it a display box. I think as long as you've got the word box, you would probably still get the mark for that one. Okay, dictionary question. What is the meaning of the word key as used in the final paragraph? So I think key, I think something to open a door. However, how is it mean? What does it mean in the final paragraph? Scroll right down to the bottom. Key. Ensure customers are given which can fully attend to their vehicle. Right here at the bottom. We hope you enjoy working at Quart. We know you will be a key member of our company. If you are a key member, you are important. I would also say maybe pivotal. If you're a key member, I think the main thing to remember with this one is that you are important. More than anything else, I would say that the word key means important. Okay, whizzing through this. Section 3, worth 7 marks. So now we have a brand new text. Which word best describes the tone of a person called Drew Designs? Okay, so let's find the one written by Drew Designs. He says, hiya, very friendly, very personable. Don't worry too much. Wear what you feel comfortable in. Remember, you will be standing all day and you might be mixing dye. Have you asked anyone at the salon if they have an employee handbook? It might be helpful. Good luck. Okay, so I can see it's positive, it's quite friendly, it's quite supportive. Let's see if any of those are the suggestions. Is it argumentative? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's very argumentative. Is it objective? No, I don't think so. Optimistic? Potentially, but it's a bit vague. Supportive. I would say the answer for this one is definitely supportive. He even ends it with those last 2 words. Good luck. He's offering his support. Identify the language features used in each of the following quotations. A mere 100 years ago, dull, drab, and dreary. Okay, so this, out of the 2, this one has struck me first. This is the one I want to answer first, because this one is possibly one of 2 different language features. Every word begins with a D. It is the same sound on repeat, dull, drab, and dreary. Therefore, it could be an example of alliteration. D, d, d. The same sound. It can be any letter, but the same sound on repeat. We also have 3 things in a list that are all somewhat related. It could also be classed as a triplet or a power of 3. It's just a list of 3 related things. 1, 2, 3. Dull, drab, and dreary. Either of those would be an acceptable answer and would get you marks. If we have a look at this top one, it says a mere 100 years ago. I think somebody is being a little bit sarcastic. I think they are using exaggeration. If you go into the document and read it in context and read the detail, you will see that somebody says that they started work in a salon a mere 100 years ago. We know that isn't going to be the truth. We know that that's not going to be very likely. We need to make sure that we are not taking every word at face value. They are not more than 100 years old. Therefore, they are exaggerating. In document 3, Jared uses inference. So inference is where we are reading something, and although the information that they are conveying might not be explicit, we will still understand their meaning from what they're saying. So just give 2 examples of what you could infer from this guy's contribution. So let's have a look at what he has to say. He says, follow this link. It says the most valuable qualities to an employer are passion, industry knowledge, and teamwork. That's another example of a triplet or a power of 3. 25% of young people are worrying so much about making a good impression that they are losing sleep, which then affects their workplace performance. I know what I would do if I were you. Okay, so we can understand from reading that, although he doesn't state it explicitly, like in those specific words, he's saying that there are more important things to an employer. So dressing the best way is not the most important thing. He says that he gives, with this bit, I know what I would do if I were you. He's making it sound as though he would wear something that makes him comfortable. So there are more important qualities than how you dress, or Employers think that there are more important qualities than how you dress, but also, and it doesn't matter that I've accidentally switched onto capital letters for this, makes no difference. You don't get any marks for spelling, punctuation, or grammar in the reading exam. It is entirely read the text, answer the questions. That's it. So he also, what can we infer? We can infer that he would wear something that he's comfortable in. He would wear something comfortable. That's it. Next question. Why does Matt H think students should wear professional clothes? So we find the contribution from Matt H. He's made two. We can see he has contributed in two places. So the first one. Congratulations, I'm a senior consultant in a Bristol salon. In my experience, wearing business attire is important, and I have done so since I first started hairdressing a mere 100 years ago. It's such a competitive industry. You need to look professional in order to make a positive impact that could help you get a job. So back to the question. Why does he think we should wear professional clothes? Well, he's just said to make a positive impact that could help you get a job. Brilliant. Now, this question is asking for two examples, so let's have a look in his second piece. Remember, your tutor has asked you to look smart and will be asking for feedback. It could affect your course marks if you don't take their advice. That is our second one. So that is one of the reasons he thinks that you should wear professional clothes. It could affect your course marks and it could help you get a job. Okay. Last section. This is the hardest section, even though it's not worth any more marks than the others. There are only, if we look here on the left, 2 questions, but they are harder. So, compare the views of Lila compared with the views in document 1. Okay, it wants us to be able to identify one textual feature or a language feature. It also wants us to identify the purpose of each text. So, we can basically try to do this I'm going to show you how to do it in as fewer words as possible. So we want to compare the views. Now, they're both talking about dressing appropriately. So that's the section that I'm going to get my quotes from. So this says that we should wear either personal protective equipment or we should wear something like professional. Here we go. It says looking professional is of utmost importance. So we're going to start by saying something like, document 1 states that, here we go, and I'm going to just put my quote straight into the text. Looking professional is of utmost importance. Just change my formatting. And they do this by using facts. So, because they actually said something along the lines of, there were some statistics in there. 3 out of 5 workers were not wearing the correct clothing. Okay, so you may only need one quote, but this is a particularly good example. So they say that it's important, which they express by using facts. And then we have a look straight at document 3, and I'm going to put in document 3, and her name was it Lilia L. Lilia L. Let's have a look what she had to say. Employers don't care, so she clearly thinks that there are more important things than dressing professionally. So I'm going to actually change this to however as a linking word. In document 3, Lila L has a negative view of wearing professional clothing, as she uses personal experience to show, and then let's put in our quote. The quote that we're going to use is, there are more important things. Oh, in fact, we want to use the one that, there we go. So this particular quote where she says, I finished my work experience at the hairdressers and wore what I wanted. So that shows that she's using personal experience, and she's also being somewhat negative towards wearing professional clothing. Now, you can see that we've actually answered this in, 2 or 3 sentences, but you do need to include a lot in there. So you need to ensure you have very clearly given examples from each text. You've said what their views are. You've added or expressed how they've done it. So I've said in one they use statistics or facts, and in the other she uses personal experience, and the purpose of each text. So, okay, let's just try to add to that. This document is giving advice and guidance to students starting work experience. Oh dear, something's wrong with my spelling today, my typing, I should say. And then the last one, the purpose of the text is that she is also giving advice and guidance to students on work placement. There we go. See, this is one of the reasons why when you've answered the questions, we should always go back and check, make sure we've got every single box ticked. And then the very last question, which of the 3 documents is the most formal? So we need to be able to look at all 3 of them. So the first one was a website. It does have exclamation marks, which are usually there just to give a bit of emphasis. It has things like rhetorical questions, so it's being somewhat friendly. The second document was our letter that was very professional, businesslike, and formal. And then the third was our forums, where people are just telling us their thoughts and opinions. So it wants to know which is the most formal. I would say it is the most formal as it is from an employer to an employee, and I was going to say doesn't address them by name, showing that it is very businesslike. Then we need to consider which we consider the least formal. I would probably say is document 3, because all of this is just people's experience, their thoughts, their opinions. That's it. So I'm going to say document 1, and I'm just going to write it in the middle, and document 3 is the least formal as it is a forum or a blog post showing people's experience, thoughts, and opinions. So document 1, it's a website offering advice and guidance, but uses informal language such as, well, we pointed out, rhetorical questions and exclamation marks. So we've stated what order we think they are in order of formality, and we've given a little explanation, just a very short explanation, without any quotes for each one. And that, my friends, is the end of the exam. Now, if you decide to do exactly as I have done and go onto the NCFE website and attempt any of these exam questions, do not, under any circumstances, press Finish Test in the top right-hand corner. I understand it's very tempting, because as soon as you do, this will happen. It will just say, are you sure? You say yes. It says, okay. And that's it. It has gone. It has disappeared. It does not get sent to anybody for marking. It does not get sent to me or the exam board. It has disappeared off into the internet, into the ether, never to be seen again. Therefore, if you would like to attempt one of these reading exams, please get in contact with me and I will send you a copy out that will be as an attachment on an email. And then you can just send it back to me once completed. Just put your answers into the body of the email and I will mark it from there. So that's it. As I promised at the beginning, this is a very the quickest possible run through of how to approach a level 2 reading exam. However, because this isn't a live session, you do have the benefit of pausing, rewinding, checking, and I will also try to include the link to this particular paper on the in the notes under the comments section of this video. As always, should you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. Thank you all very much, and I'll speak to you later.